Hello, Red Gems, and happy Sunday. Welcome. Thank you for joining us here today. I am Janita Pascal, founder and managing director of G.P.A Inc., where we inspire intellectual innovation. And today, I am very happy that you can join us here today, and us, my guest, Mr. Dave Champagne, and I, as we take you behind the wind. And behind the wind is where we go beyond the cover story. In life, we all experience those challenges. We all have different experiences, right? And sometimes we make it and we post those amazing pictures on Instagram, Facebook, the videos on YouTube, and the pictures on LinkedIn, the professional platform. And individuals question because there are individuals who aspire as well, and they see us, and what they see is the cover story, which is really the image, but they don't understand the journey. They don't feel as motivated because they see Dave Champagne, MBA, and they believe it maybe what just happened overnight. And sometimes that is the narrative that we see, and we see these success stories and we believe maybe there was no fight, there was no struggle, and there were no challenges, there were no changes that we had to make. And today I'm very happy that through GPA we could provide this platform going behind the win and bringing on one guest every month to share with you their inspirational story where you can take home those pearls of wisdom. And today we have none other than Mr. Dave Champagne, who will share with us the changes, the challenges, how he was able to respond and remain resilient in his journey to becoming or in along his transformational journey. Mr. Champagne, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Janita Pascal. Really appreciate the invitation. As you mentioned, usually people see the glory, the Snapchat, the Instagram, the Facebook, the LinkedIn. They see the work after it's done, but yet they don't know the struggle, the sleepless night that we go through. Because I know you are MBA too, because we
Yes.
study together. So usually people don't realize, the pain that we endure to reach where we are, and some really happy for us, and others envy us. That's
Right.
life.
That is true. That is true. And this is why I say that this is not a platform for validation, because I always say don't seek external validation. This is when you hand your power over to someone, self-validate and take your power back. And it is simple as that. So it is not a platform for validation or trying to prove yourself to anyone. It is a platform to inspire, because there are others along the journey and maybe they're not theirs yet, and sometimes they question, am I really doing the right thing? Sometimes they fail and they really get demotivated and uninspired. So this is really a platform where we can continue to speak alive and inspiration into those who are along the journey. So Mr.
Totally agree
Champ,
with you.
yes, Mr. Champagne, let's get right into it. Tell us, who is Dave Champagne? Where did he grow up? What was growing up like for you? Tell us a little about you.
That's a lot of questions in one sentence. Um, I usually say it when people ask me, who is Dave Champagne? Uh, I am a child of Africa. Unfortunately, my boat left Africa a long time ago, and it ended up in Haiti. You know, I grew up in the suburb of Haiti, in a community called Carrefour. Grew up in a big family. I was the baby of eight. Grew up from my family. I was introduced to the church, and with a specific Salesian of Don Bosco. And with them, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot of good skill that I carry on until today, such as my leadership skill, my community sense of doing.
Right.
So I learned that from the church. And as you know, in the Caribbean, being the baby of eight, you have all your brothers and sisters always watching over your shoulders, everything that you're doing, they're there. And at times you don't nothing because you have all of them doing everything for you. But when I start going to church, being an altar boy, being a youth leader, um, I developed that sense of belonging, that sense of doing. One of the things that we've done in the church, some friends and I, over 25 years, 30 years close, we're still good friends. And one thing we've done back in Haiti, we used to put pocket money together to sponsor a underprivileged child,
Yes.
and we ended up with a project sending about 12, 13 kids to school from elementary school to high school, 12 grades. So
Nice.
all of this is those people that I've met along the way, leadership I've learned from the church, and that, Dave Champagne is still in the making, by the way,
Yeah.
but all of these people that I met along the way helped me becoming
Right.
who I am and give me a clear vision of where I want to go.
Keep going. And you spoke about meeting those individuals and having individuals to watch over your shoulder. In the small island developing states, the Caribbean more so, there is a sense of community. There is a sense of watching over your shoulder. There is a culture of hand holding and ensuring that you support and everyone is okay, and you can guide your brother and, like, what we like to call your sister, being your brothers and your sisters keeper. And there is, not only do we have that sense of community and guidance, there is the picturesque sights, very impressive flowing water, the beach, the white sandy beaches. However,
The good
sometimes,
food.
oh yes, the good food. Oh yes, that too. And sometimes, we want more. We need to spread our wings. And I'm saying we, because that was also my story. And whereas I transitioned from a small island developing state to another small island developing state, moving from Dominica to St. Lucia, it was almost as if I was transitioning and it was the same culture. But I know that your story is different. And let us know, what drove you to spread your wings, and what was changing or moving or transitioning like for you?
So moving and transition for me, when you leave one place to go to another place. In my case, I left Haiti. Um, from Haiti, I moved to the state for a short period of time, and now I've been in Canada for the past 15 years. Um, any transition is hard because you meet people, you had a way of doing things. For example, in Haiti, I had my friends from high school with whom I would go play basketball. I was already part of a community. Leaving that behind, go to another community, you have to integrate yourself again. Um, the integration part for me was not that hard. For me, the toughest thing is learning a new language. For example,
Right.
because I'm from Haiti, we are French speaking country, French and Haitian Creole. English is something that I've learned, and I'm still learning, by the way. um, but the integration was easy for me. The reason why is because, when you grow up in a community, when you grow up in the church, integrating yourself always easy.
Right.
Growing up with eight brothers and sisters, being the baby, you always have to integrate yourself because everybody always over you or speaking over you or telling you what to do.
Yes.
So you always have to say no. You have to find your way one way
Yeah.
or the other. So those skills that I've learned how to integrate myself between my brothers and sisters, or integrating myself in different group within the church, helped me integrate myself in all the communities that I've been. In Toronto, for example, in the Haitian, French, Creole community, I believe I integrate myself quite well.
Right. You speak a lot about integrating and finding your way and finding your voice. There are some of us who are not equipped or do not have the tools to integrate. So, how did you integrate and how did you find your voice?
So, um, when I moved to Toronto in 2006, I was the typical Caribbean guy, go to work, come back home, do my thing, what I have to do. And in 2010, the earthquake happened in Haiti. And I remember that vividly because I was at work and someone came and called me to the lunchroom to see the news live happening around 3:35. And I went back home that night and I said to myself, if you've been organizing many things in the past, why not help? Why not putting your resources out there and help? And within 3 weeks, I held my first fundraiser. And keep in mind, back then I didn't know no one in Toronto. Because first my routine was work home, work home.
Yes.
I didn't know no Haitian, no one at all. And I launched my first fundraising within 3 weeks of that earthquake. Funny things enough, the same place I was raising my fundraising, I was in the basement of the place, and another group around the time there was a lot of fundraising. Everywhere you go, some fundraising, and above me there was another fundraising happening for the same cause. So when people come to that place, there are confusion. Where should I go?
Oh, yeah.
And I reached out to the other organizer and I told him, his name is Giancarlo. I said, Giancarlo, you know what? We both patient first time we met in. I don't know you, you don't know me. But you know what? Let's collide or even together. So wherever people come, let them be. And at
Yeah.
the end of the day, because and funny thing enough, we were working with the same organization, UNICEF. And I told him at the end of the night, we will put everything we collect and give to UNICEF together. He agreed. He liked that idea. So people was going back and forth to events, and Giancarlo later on introduced me to a lot of other Haitian leaders in the community. So at
Oh,
times you have to take a step back to
right.
remove yourself from the equation for you to take a to look at a
Right.
bigger picture.
Right. And I see that your sense of collaboration and your um, desire to support. Sometimes we believe that, yes, we would like to do great things in community. We want to assist, and we tend to want to do these things on our own. So I really appreciate your desire to collaborate for the cause. Tell us why it is important to always remove ourselves from the equation, especially in times like this, because sometimes we tend to make it a me thing and not necessarily a thing for the cause. We like always for the lights to shine on us. We like for whatever is happening to always be our cover story.
So in the past, I've heard that word Ubuntu. It's an African word. It means there's no I without you. We are a big community. Yes, don't get me wrong. We human, we like to be on the light. We like to be the center of attention. It's
Yes.
it's part of our DNA. If someone tell you they don't like that, that person is faking. It's not real. But times, in order for you to accomplish what you need to accomplish, you need to pull back. You need to put someone else in front. And it goes even further than that because you have to know what you can do.
Yeah.
I know I myself, I can bring people together. I can
Yes.
organize, there's a lot of things I can do. But as well, there are a lot of things I can do. There are a lot more I cannot do. you know a leader, at times you have to know your strength and your weakness, and you have to also know how to bring other leaders around you, and for us to work together to accomplish a bigger picture.
Right. And you said you love bringing people together, and I guess that's why we met. I mean,
Yes.
we were in this group, and Dave was the voice. I think Dave should be called upon to serve as the valedictorian. Dave was the
Not
voice.
at all.
Dave was the voice. Dave ensured that everybody was doing well. If you had ever had a question, you drop it in the WhatsApp chat. And even though he was along his own journey, again, he found the time to provide support and guidance to whoever needed it. And that is why Dave and I connected. I always say to people that I meet, there were maybe 45 to 60 baby students, and Dave stood out. And to this day, we
I
still
hope
have
it's
that.
good stood out.
Oh, yes, you did. Good stood out. Good standing out. Um, and yes, you stood out, and you were always very supportive and very helpful. And I remember last year, I just felt like I couldn't do it anymore. And I was like, I'm out. And I remember Dave saying, you can do it, you have it in you. And he always messaged to check on me and ensure that I was doing well and I was completing the program. I think we met midpoint in the journey there. Am I
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Yes. So along the journey, there were ebbs, there were flows, there were highs, there were lows, there
It's
were
squeezing.
all of it. Oh, yes. What were some of those highs and lows for you, and why did you remain along the journey? And even remaining along the journey, why did you decide to be the one to stand up and be the voice for all the students?
Um, Studying is hard, and we were what 45, 60 students studying all over the place. Many of them from the Caribbean, people from all over the world studying. And interestingly enough, we were doing that during COVID. It's not easy. And I realized that, you experience it, many other people experience it. When you studying online, technically 75% of the time you're teaching yourself.
Yeah.
You cannot work to your teacher's office or book office hour or anything like that. We had to help each other. You mentioned that I help a lot of my former classmates. So nice to see that, former classmates. But as well, they help me too, because a lot of things, this I read something I did not understand, and I go to the chat room and people answered me. So I think it goes back to that word, we are together. We are one people. We were looking to achieve that same journey, to have a three letters credential. And
Dave
I believe
Champagne
we help each
MBA.
other.
Yes.
Yes. I believe we help each others, and it's that same sense of bringing people together, that same sense of community. That's why every models I was doing, I create a new models, and to help each other and also helping myself as well. So it was a collaborative work, not only me helping, but I get help.
Okay, so you did all of this within a COVID-19 era. You balance work, you balance school, and the MBA. You also had a personal life, right? How were
Yes,
you able to balance for better all of these moving pieces? What's
I'm
it
pointing
there?
up. I don't know if you could see the picture up there. It's my baby girl.
Right.
Um, so I have one advantage. I wish I was taking more advantage of that advantage.
Mhm.
Um, I only sleep 4 hours a night,
Whoa.
so I try to maximize on that. Most of my studies, I do them um, at night. During the day, I work. And with COVID, it was one Zoom after one Zoom, one client after another client. You just have, how I say to people, you just have to build your own schedule. There's 24
Right.
hours of the day, you just maximize it. If you need 2 hours a day to read, book 2 hours a day, turn off your cell phone.
Right.
Just, it's an appointment. So you have to invest.
Right. And tomorrow I'll be speaking about this. And I'm happy that you mentioned it. Hey, I always say to people, and I spoke to a group of students last week, Monday, and I said to them, it is what you spend your time on and what you focus on which will determine how far you're going. It's how you schedule your time as well. So we can make many excuses as to why we don't have time to read that chapter or to write the literature review. But these are only excuses. You have 24 hours in a day, and it is how you spend your time and how you
Yeah,
make
but
use of that time.
remember, we student, we invented that word procrastination.
Right. Yes, it is time to go back and reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
So, creating a balance for better. I know there are a number of students who are maybe just starting the program, or maybe just decided maybe next semester I'm going to join in on the program. What would you say to the students or
Find your
potential
network.
students?
Find your network. Create that network. Especially if you're all over the place, you need that support. You cannot do your MBA by yourself.
Right.
You experience it. We just finished our MBA with 45, 60 students.
Mhm.
Um, by yourself, you will be lost. You will be
Right.
discouraged. You will have questions that you will get the answer from the school, but it could be 2 or 3 weeks from now. While if you have a network, you could have it within a few hours.
Hours,
So
right.
it's really really important to build that network.
Yeah. So you spoke about building that network. What prompted you to start, and did you have a network in the beginning?
No, I did not have a network in the beginning. Um, so it goes back again to my bringing up. And when you're in the Caribbean, when you grew up in the Caribbean, our parents know that, or they tell us all the time, or always reminding us, if
Yes.
you're not a doctor, if you're not a lawyer, if you're not a agronomist, if you're not, it's a waste of time.
Right.
So I did my undergrad business admin,
Mhm.
and I always wanted that. I've been procrastinated for quite a while to go to do my MBA, but I never did. And when COVID happened, I was like, you know what? It's now or never.
Yeah.
So I decided to do it. And luckily, shout out to my employer who paid part of it, Canada Protection Plan. I reached out to my Mac Aziz, who I report to, and he was like, "Okay, we will give you 25% of the fee." I'm like,
That's great.
right on. So,
Yes.
and I went and I did it. And it's when I started. So, funny thing enough, when I took my first module, okay, I got a P2 in my first module. And I had a lot of comment. This is not UK English, things like that. And then I took my second module. I got a P1, and I'm like,
Right.
holy gee, what's going on? And a former student I met in my second module, who was 3 or 4 modules before, I sent her my paper. She sent me hers, and I see the structure of how she writes, and I'm like, okay. And then on my third module, I get a P5. And
Right.
so only my first 2 modules I get P1 and P2. And my last module, my MBA, I get a P4. After that, I only get P5 for all my
Right.
modules, just because someone was kind enough
Mhm.
to show me the structure, to show me
Right.
how the UK English works. And I have
Right.
for my research and my thesis, I asked my Kelly Zenger, who is my counterpart. She's from Scotland, and my research, she oversee it for me. Just
Mhm.
looking at the way we spell behavior, the UK
Oh
English
yes.
doesn't spell
Oh
it the
yes.
same way. Tiny things like that. So she overlooked for me. So
Right. And you made mention of getting a P1. For some, I know I spoke to my colleague, and when I told him I got a P2 in some areas, he was like, "You should be very happy that you're getting a P2 because some people are failing." For me, I see failure as an opportunity to grow, as and an opportunity to what I say pull your socks up. In the research methods, I didn't do too well and I wasn't proud of my grade, even though I didn't fail. And I saw it as an opportunity to go in and come back stronger than I went in with the research paper for the dissertation. If share with us any advice you have for anyone that would become demotivated or not as inspired when they would look at their report and see if maybe a failing grade.
Um, this is a tough one. The main thing I believe in life, I do that for myself. I set up goals for myself. I set up
Right.
when you do that, you know, help you to bring the big picture to the smaller piece as possible. So you don't have to jump from 1 to 100.
Right.
You can jump from 1 to 2 to 3, and so on. You go gradually.
Yeah.
If you start scrolling or anything and you're not evaluating yourself and see what you're getting, and really important, you have to know yourself. You have to know your
That's
worth.
true.
Not only your worth as how much your employer should pay you, but you as a person.
Person.
Uh,
Yeah.
what can you accomplish? If you're doing something and yeah, it's a success, but could it be better or could it be greater? So
Right.
you have to know your worth as a person. If you know your worth, it's not a P1 or you should be a P2, you evaluate, find out why. Um, is it because you're studying with your school is in the UK and you're in North America? Is it the writing style? Is it the language? Whatever it is, figure it out.
Yeah.
And if you cannot figure it out, you know, a mentor me once upon a time. I was a boy, and that man is my dad. Strength, it's knowing when you need help and you seek that help. It's not finding everything by yourself. You have
Right.
to know when you need help, and you have to know how to get that help.
Yeah,
That's a sign
that's
of strength.
right.
If you cannot do it like that, it's just going to keep knocking your head in the wall over and
And
over and
over
over,
again.
and you will never
Right.
live to your full potential.
So true. And did you ever think, growing up as a young boy, did you ever think that you would become Dave MBA, living up to your full potential?
I'm in the process of meeting my full potential. I'm not there yet.
Right.
I'm not there yet. I still have a few miles to go. I still
Great,
have a few
great.
miles to go.
Perfect.
Uh,
We must always set goals, continue setting goals, that is.
yes, you have to. You have to, because if you don't do, now I'm a parent, and if I don't set goals or push myself, what expectation would I give to my daughter or my nephews and nieces looking at me? And I do
Yeah.
have quite a lot, and we all have people looking at us, looking up to us.
Right.
If
Yes.
we don't set up those goals, there's trouble coming,
Oh, yes.
because
There
the
will.
next generation
Yeah.
will only believe the bare minimum is enough, and unfortunately,
That's so true.
for us people of African descent, the bare minimum is not enough for us.
Right. And Dave, there will be changes and challenges along your journey. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, your background. But we must remain resilient. We must work towards that dream or that goal, right? Um, and I know that I saw Mr. Ramesh from India was here with us today. Um, he still is though.
Hey, still is.
If you had if you had to speak to maybe the graduating class, let's say we say we're championing the agenda and we said Dave is
You're
our
breaking up. I
valedictorian.
you internet
Dave is our
connection.
Dave is our valedictorian this year, right? What would you say to the individuals seated in the audience?
Sorry, for a minute I couldn't hear you. Can you repeat,
My
please?
my apologies. I was saying if you had to be our valedictorian this year, what would you say to the audience, the individuals seated in the audience?
Oh man, you're really putting me on the spot. So, if I had to speak to people sitting in the audience, I will let them know that, life is like a stairs. You cannot reach the top without making the first step. And
Yes.
until you decide to make the first step, you will never, no way it will happen for you to go half of those stairs. You
Right.
have to know why you're doing what you're doing,
Mhm.
and you have to have a clear path on how you're doing it. And if you don't know, find out, look for people who can help you determine your strength and your weakness.
Yeah.
And if your weakness is more than your strength, go
Mm-hmm.
back and reinvent yourself. When I mean
Right.
reinvent yourself, don't be fake, be who you are.
Right.
Reinventing yourself, if it is a new skill you need to learn, go learn that new skill,
True.
whatever it is. As you can see, I'm speaking really slow. I'm a fast speaker. And
All
one thing
right.
I've learned, and I'm still struggling with, is especially speaking English with my Creole French accent, I have to
Right.
take it down one notch. And
Right.
I spent time, I went to therapy for that. You have to invest on yourself. If you don't, no one will.
That's so true.
So that will be my advice.
Okay, great. Unfortunately, we have come closer to the end of our interview with Mr. Champagne. I hope that you were able to take in the advice, take in the pearls of wisdom, the nuggets of inspiration. And I know that Mr. Champagne mentioned, finding those people who can really hold your hand and serve as your guiding compass along your transformational journey. And I just wanted to put Mr. Champagne on the spot again, right, and ask him, how can we find you? What if, I know I will be contacting you, that might never end. I'm always going to reach out. But if someone else is looking, to seek some advice as it relates to maybe their MBA journey, transitioning, how to remain resilient along their journey, how can they find you?
I am on LinkedIn under my full name, Dave Champagne, or you can look me up on Linktree/Dave Champagne. Champagne, it's like the bubble drink, same spelling.
Okay, perfect. Dave, thank you. Thank you again for joining us here. If you'd like to share any last words, it is all up to you. If not, this we have come to the end of our interview.
So thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure, and I'm really honored to be on your platform today. Um, One thing I would say is, we as people in general, we cannot go and say, this is me or this is them. At the end of the day, we all part of that same big family.
Right.
We have to support each other,
So,
regardless their ethnicity, regardless of how you were raised or how they were raised, because
yeah.
at the end of the day, we are one family, the human family.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you again. I do wish you a good day. And I
Thank
guess
you.
enjoy the rest and we shall speak.
Definitely. Thank you. See you in July, graduation.
Oh, yes.